What's going on, gamers? My name is Havenhand, and welcome to the first official episode of the Havenhead channel. Not the first video, but I would say that this is the kind of stuff that I will be doing on the Havenhead channel, where I talk about a subject or a topic and just blab about it for 10 to 20 minutes. So, you know, do what you will with that information. One of the main things I want to do on this channel is, like I said at the end of the last video, is I just want to talk to my audience, and I also wanted to give my audience a chance to ask me questions rather. Yeah, it's the first episode, I'm allowed to be a bit rusty. Now, what I've done is I actually have a Discord. If you ever want to join that, it'll be in the description of literally every video I ever upload. And very recently I made a new channel, which is called the Havenhead Questions channel, where I literally talk, you guys basically ask me a question and I will talk about it for 10 to 20 minutes and we'll just see where we go with that. Unscripted nonsense that for one reason or another people will listen to. I don't know, I just want to have more of a casual relaxed channel, and here we are with this. And today's subject is based on actually being a YouTuber. Now, just to clarify, there's a very small chance that you found this video and you're still listening, you know, a minute in, and you're thinking, this guy only has less than 200 subscribers. If you find this video new, why the hell is he talking about being a YouTuber? Let me just quickly introduce myself. My name is Havenhand. I actually have a YouTube channel which has about 250,000 subscribers, so I think I know a thing or two about being a YouTuber. At least I like to think so. Whether I do, that's up to you. Anyway, in this channel, I got asked a variety of questions, and one of them was a very simple question by someone who has been part of the Discord for quite a while now. Stalinist, I believe it's a Stalinist, I believe it's pronounced, actually. And they say, do I simply make videos because I like it, because for fun, or do I make it because, you know, money? And this was an interesting question. Like, at what point does making YouTube videos not be fun? And it also got me thinking about, is YouTube actually hard? Spoiler alert, no it's not, but we'll get to that in a bit longer. And so I decided I'm just going to answer 3 simple questions in this video. First of all, is being a YouTuber fun? Is being a YouTuber hard? And at what point should you not be a YouTuber? I mean, that's pretty much the most simple 3 questions that I think I should answer rather, by, you know, these kind of content. I think talking about being a YouTuber rather, whilst actually being a YouTuber, seems like a good place to start if I'm just going to talk to my audience and they're going to ask me questions. Yeah, I think that makes most sense in the world. So yeah, let's start with what I think is the most simple one to answer, and that is being a YouTuber hard? Let me be clear. Let's be 1,000,000% clear right now. No matter what I'm about to say over the next 5 to 10 minutes of me blabbing, the answer is no. This is so much easier than anything you could possibly do in the universe. Unless you got lucky enough to put $2,000 into Bitcoin 20 years ago, then, you know, you don't necessarily have a job because, you know, you're set for life. But if you're actually looking at people who actually have proper jobs, is being a YouTuber, you know, difficult? I'm pretty sure we've all seen those videos, maybe on TikTok or Twitter or something, where people make the ridiculous claim that they're like, you know, my TikTok job is so much harder than any 9 to 5 or that kind of garbage. It's rage bait. Let's be clear, it's rage bait. And I don't blame people for that, because interactions, and if you're gonna sit there and comment on this person that they're an idiot, a comment's still a comment, unfortunately. But yeah, no, all of it is absolutely ridiculous. Let's just get that out of the way right now. I have been doing this now full time for about 3 years now. I've had the highs and lows of it, and at the same time I worked for 8 years in the call center. I was taking calls and I was doing sales, and I had targets, and whenever I wasn't hitting those targets, I had managers breathing down my back being like, what's going on, what's terrible? And I would sit there and be like, there's legitimately good reasons, and they wouldn't have enough, because if I'm not hitting my targets, they're not hitting their targets. It's an endless cycle of targets and whatnot. And as much as I was there for 8 years, after 6 years I basically checked out and just sort of dealt with it, knowing that my time would eventually come where I would leave that place. But even in times here when it got as difficult as it got, and I was putting maybe 60 hours a week into making the videos that I was making, compared to the 16 hours that I was spending in the call center, the 60 hours of bad times for me was universally easier than any minimum I'd ever spend at the call center. The minimum I ever worked was 16 hours a week. So what's that? That's like maybe a fourth, just under, of what I would ever do working on a YouTuber in like a busy week for me. So yeah, I can sit here and comfortably tell you that being a YouTuber is nowhere near as hard as, you know, any normal 9 to 5 job, and any reasonable human being that wasn't trying to rage bait you would agree with you with that. What I will say though is that doesn't mean YouTube is all peachy. There is definitely stresses and concerns about it. Now, there is one thing I just want to quickly clarify about being a YouTuber, at least a YouTuber of my size. I would call myself sort of I'm gonna say mid-YouTuber. That I'm not trying to say like I make mid-content. I mean just like I'm a middle of the ground on how successful I am. And I think there's sort of three tiers when it comes to YouTube. There's the people who just they cannot afford to just do YouTube. They're basically the YouTubers who, you know, they've just started out. Maybe they've got a bit of a following, but they're not earning enough to look after themselves. Then you've probably got the YouTubers who they could probably just take a 6-month break and not have to sweat about the finances or anything like that. There's the set for light YouTubers, which is like the next level where they would never have to upload another video again, and they're good. They're set because they've made that much money. I actually have a YouTuber friend. I won't name drop, but my YouTuber friend, or one of my YouTuber friends, was telling me about another YouTuber who was popular back in maybe like 2010 to 2012, you know, the early era of YouTube. And they were telling me how some of their videos were getting so many views. Like, they stopped making videos 5 years ago, but because their old videos were getting so many views that they were still earning about 10 to 30 grand a month. And they haven't made a video in over a year. And I think that sort of sums it up. If you're at that point in life, you are set. Now, I, of course, am not at that point. My videos get about 50 to 100,000 views, and I occasionally have a really bad, unviewed video. But I will put myself in the mid category where I can do this full time. I can sit here and make full-time content. However, if I stopped making full-time content, I wouldn't be able to, like, look after myself. So, yeah, I would say that it is basically what a full-time job is. So, I hope that basically clears up what I'm talking about when I start talking about the stuff that I'm about to talk about. And what I mean by that is basically when you are where I am, if views go down, so does your paycheck. And as much as I love doing what I do, the one major disadvantage of YouTube is that there is no guarantee. You can be as consistent as you want. If you are not doing the right things, eventually your views will drop off and you will you will start struggling in your pockets. I mean, is the most simple way to say it. I remember maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I started my channel being popular in 100 days content. It was, you know, from Loop the Notable. When I started, it was okay. And I would occasionally have like good hits or misses here and there, but towards the end of the 100 days content stuff, my views they plummeted. Quite frankly, they plummeted. Another little bit of information about me, which might also help you, is that I live in Switzerland, and if you know anything about Switzerland, you know it's really, really expensive. When I was here and I was doing 100 days content and they weren't getting nearly enough views for how much work I was putting into them, I was very slowly, you know, losing everything. I was losing all the money I had, and the views weren't coming in, and it was just coming to the point where I was like, I'm running out of time here before I really got to make a change or something. And that is so stressful. That is so incredibly stressful to sit in front of a camera or an audience and make content that you think is good, you think is great, and you could try and make as much as you want, but if the views aren't coming in, that is stressful. And I know, obviously, again, I'll say this again, it's so much easier to sit in front of a camera and, you know, do all these videos and make all these views, even if it's at a limited basis, but the stress that you have knowing views aren't coming in, and you know, it's a really bad time for you, and financially you can't cover yourself. I had some really, really bad times. Admittedly, all of this was in the 100-day stuff. Since I've started changing my stuff to mainly do game show content, I've not really struggled at all, which is, I'm so incredibly blessed for that. Let's be 1,000,000% clear about that. But it obviously has its stresses like that, in the fact that if you're not getting the views when you've gone full time. Now, admittedly, just another note is I went full time probably before I should have. I was one of those fools who did that. Now, the reason I did that was because when I moved to Switzerland, I actually wasn't allowed to get a proper job for a set amount of time for legal reasons. But I just stuck with the YouTube even after those legal reasons ended. And it came to the point where, like, I was maybe 2 or 3 months of being like, look, I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna have to, you know, change what I'm doing. And then I decided to change things up. And, well, I think things have worked out quite comfortably, to say the least. You know what I mean? Quite frankly, even with the stresses like that, where if you're not getting the views and not getting paid, then obviously you're gonna run out of money. For every one potential negative that you have as a YouTuber, there's probably like 100 positives. Like, when I was working full-time at the call center, I would have to get up at like 6:30 in the morning to reach my 8 a.m. job, and now I get up, and if I get up before 10, that's like way too early for me, which this sounds ridiculous to say. So many people will watch this video and be like, I have to get up at 8 a.m. to do my 9 to 5 or even earlier, and I just, yeah, I'm so, that's one of the, I love my sleep, and this is what I mean. So for every one negative thing you could say about being a YouTuber, you have 100 positive things. So no, being a YouTuber is not hard. It's not hard. It's a ridiculous statement to say that 9 to 5s are harder, and if you become one of the YouTubers who, you know, can start saving up a bunch of money, you're set for life, you're happy with life, and I hope one day I get there. But yeah, to answer the first question of the 3 that I'm going to propose today, is being a YouTuber hard? No, if you can make it as a YouTuber, you are set, and that is absolutely fantastic. The second question was the original question, actually, is it fun? Do I just do this for money, or is it fun? And the answer actually, I mean, obviously, what I will say is each YouTuber has its own case, and I like to think that a lot of YouTubers will answer the same way that I'm answering, and that answer is, I think it's incredibly fun. I love what I do, especially what I do recently, which is basically, hey guys, all my friends come onto my Minecraft server. I'm going to host a little mini game for you. We're going to have a good time playing said mini game, and then I'm going to upload it so people can watch it. Literally 2 times a week, I get to host a game for my friends, and hopefully most of the time they have a good time whilst playing said game, and it's just fun all around. That being said, and this is the sad truth of it, if I wasn't being paid to do it, I would not be doing it, and that is the cold hard truth of being a YouTuber. I am so incredibly lucky that I basically get to pick what I do, and I'm sort of still locked in a little bit of a shackle that I have to make game show content, and people would really prefer if I do like the fake image game or the geo guesses, or the specific videos that people would prefer me do over other videos. That being said, I still get the idea that I can make pretty much whatever content that I want to make within this little frame, and I love doing it. I absolutely love doing it. If I was able to get 50 to 100,000 views every single video, I'm good. I'm comfortably good for a while. I'm saving up a bit of money, which is very comfortable. But that is the truth of it, is that this is now my job. And as much as I love the fun of it, I love to play with my friends, I love to host my friends and stuff, if I wasn't earning the money I was earning, I wouldn't be doing it. And that is probably the truth for every single YouTuber. I had a friend a long time ago. His name was MyDozer, and you might remember that name if you were from like the Hypixel UHC days, or just if you were a YouTuber who enjoyed Hypixel content. MyDozer was like one of the first people who became really big in that subgenre of Hypixel. He could pretty much upload whatever he wanted Hypixel wise, and he'd get a lot of views, and a lot of people liked him, and I was, you know, a good friend. I was like maybe his third in command after somebody else, and he would have made himself, he like got 100,000 views and a niche thing when he really shouldn't have. Like, people just loved him, people loved like who he hung around with, and that's honestly what I started this channel with. All the videos unfortunately unlisted because well, there might be some problematic things said and I don't want to risk it. Point is that MyDozer he would have gone massive. He would be one of the biggest YouTubers, Minecraft YouTubers here, because he made that kind of content that you watched him for, which is the special kind of YouTuber. But Michael didn't want it. He didn't want the content. He didn't have fun doing it anymore, so he just stopped. He tried to do something completely different. People didn't watch it. He's like, this ain't fun anymore, and he just stopped. And I think that's what a lot of YouTubers do. If you start to grow and you get to see what it's like to be a YouTuber and you don't enjoy it, a lot of them just stop doing it and they just move on to other things. And yeah, I don't blame them, because if I didn't feel the joy and sort of ambition to try and become the biggest YouTuber, well, not even, sorry, let me clarify, I'm not bothered about being the biggest YouTuber on the platform, but if I was to consistently get a lot of views and people knew who I was and I was comfortable for the rest of my life, yeah, I'd be over them. That drives me to really do it. Like, I uploaded a video. My last video was uploaded when I uploaded this was basically a video where I thought it would be really great. I thought it would be a really good video. I thought it would get a lot of views. It's in the concept of something that I really like, and the video flopped. Now, there's a couple reasons why. I won't go into those reasons, but the thing about it was, like, I expected this video to do quite well. In retrospective, I understand why it didn't do well, but at the time, I was like, this video will do well. I'm pretty sure this video will be fantastic. But no, it flopped. If you know anything about YouTube 1 out of 10s, it started at a 4 out of 10, but then within 2 hours dropped to a 7 out of 10, and the next morning was at a 9 out of 10, and it's been there ever since. But, you know, I think that pretty much sums it up. I expected the video to do so much better, and it just didn't, and that is painful. And a lot of people I know, like even people in the Haven crew I know, would see that and they would be so crushed and they'd have to take a break. But my mindset is like, no, it sucks that happened. I need to fix this. I need the next video to do well. I'm going to upload another video. Hopefully it'll do well. Hopefully get a bunch of views. It'll be fantastic. Not sure if you heard me bang my leg against my table, by the way, but just quickly, ow. If you don't have fun like I have fun with YouTube, I don't think you would feel that. I don't think you'd feel that drive of, oh my god, this video did bad. Okay, let's talk about it for an hour. I'm going to upload the next video. It can be great. And yeah, I think that hopefully that answers your question. Is I do find YouTube fun, and I have such a drive to keep doing YouTube for hopefully a long time. But if you were to take every penny away from me, the sad truth for myself and pretty much every YouTuber there, I don't think many YouTubers would do it anymore. And that's the truth. Now, especially in 2026, I really don't. And I realized that I sort of answered the final question: is when should you stop being a YouTuber? If you started the grind, when should you stop? And I completely forgot that was the third thing until I looked back at my notes. But yeah, if you ever get to the point where a video does bad and you just need to take a bunch of time off, maybe this isn't for you. Because I'm going to tell you for free, there has been times where YouTube has absolutely popped and I've earned so much views and so much money, but at the same time, it's been months of so much badness. It does not happen overnight. Like, you'll hear about YouTubers blowing up and popping off. You think, oh, maybe I could be the next one, but to tell you the truth, I have been running this, like, constantly for over 5 years. Like August of 2020 was when I uploaded my first big video, the Skyblock 100 days. And I'm at a point where, like, I started this channel, it had less than 4,000 subscribers, and in 5 years I'm at 250,000, which I'm thrilled about, don't get me wrong. And there are obviously other YouTubers out there that have made more, have got more subscribers in less time. But that really is like, it's kind of like a shiny Pokemon. It doesn't happen very often, maybe 1 in 8,000 if you're lucky. And obviously that's the original shiny odds for all you new shiny nerds. But the point is that you will upload a video, and if you're lucky enough for it to get popular, to keep the majority of the people watching you is not as easy as I think people make it out to be. For every one person that blows up and continues to have success, probably 100 like me who will slowly climb if they keep going. And I've only been able to slowly climb and keep going is because I've had the support of my friends and my family, and that is the truth. And there has been times where it has been so brutally hard to keep going because, views haven't been coming in, and you question whether your videos are good and that kind of thing. And I think that pretty much decided there and then. And I look back at that now especially, and all I can think is, there was, as much as I thought, am I doing enough, am I good enough? No point did I ever really think, I've got to throw in the towel, I'm done, I'm never going to be good enough. It was always a drive of, I want to do better, I want more views, I want this channel to be successful. And I guess that answers my question finally, is that if you become a YouTuber and you get any instrument of success, if the moment that success dies off, and you start getting less views and you start seeing it all crumble, if you start thinking about quitting so quickly, this ain't for you. This really is not for you. But if you are willing to knuckle down and push through it and be like, if you heard me say, you should probably quit if this isn't for you, and you heard me, you literally had the thought of being like, screw that, no, I'm going to keep going, but this is for you. But I'll tell you now for free that being a YouTuber does have its difficulties. Again, nothing compared to the 9-to-5 stuff, don't quote me out of context, but it can be difficult, it can be hard, and if you could push through the difficulties, then maybe this YouTube gig is for you. So I guess I'll end this actually with another question, is where do you even start by being a YouTuber? I know a lot of people probably have a lot of YouTube questions for me, and with this platform, with the ability to actually speak and, the rambles of me, like I said, this is unscripted stuff. If you want to start being a YouTuber, my honest advice, just start. Just start. YouTube is about watch time and consistency. I upload once a week, it works for me, and my watch time is pretty good, that works for me. If you can figure out how to do those things and find your little area, like I've got Minecraft game shows, so you can find your little, find your little subsection of Minecraft to make content in, speedruns or whatever, and you start growing in that, you have to start. Because I know plenty of people, especially even in the Haven crew, and I'll call them out, I don't think they'll get this far, because then they'd have to listen to me blabble for nearly 20 minutes. I know people in my friends group who have talked about being content creators for ages, and they just don't do it. And that is an infuriating thing. If you want to be a content creator, advice number 1, start making content. Figure out the rest later. Sure, you're probably going to make a bunch of bad videos at the start, but you just have to start. Wanting to be a content creator and being a content creator are two completely different things. And this simple difference between the two is that one of them makes content and the other one wants to make content. Simple as that. Alright then, that's 20 minutes of me rambling. Thank you all so much for listening. If you're still listening by this point, then I don't know why. Thank you for listening by. If you want to ask me a question, then join the Discord and ask me a question in the Haven Head questions section. And I guess like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for listening to Haven Head. I should have called it Dr. Haven. Dr. Havenhand, shouldn't I? I realize that now. I should have called it Dr. Havenhand. Ah well. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.